Well, good morning, and this will be an interesting video for those, and I think there are quite a few that are trying to learn how to draw these panels up, and this will be a little step-by-step of how I get to where I'm going with a particular drawing. I've got this thing laid out here. We have this 32, this little background. We've done several videos on this piece, but now we're starting to get real serious about it. So it's 17 inches wide, 32 inches tall. It's my new Irish cross, and I wanted to add some Celtic knotwork, scroll work, or whatever into everything that's around this particular cross. And so I'm going to turn it sideways here for just a minute. I'm going to show you how we evolved to where we're about to go to. You are going to go on this little adventure with me. I'm thinking this is going to work. I'm not sure. Okay, so what I did, the Bible, Celtic Art, The Methods of Construction, George Bain. This is a paperback book. It's not that big, but man, there's a lot of stuff in here. And so what I've done is I've gone through the book and looked at what can I do that will work out for this particular panel, something I like. And I found this little area right here, and then I saw this portion. This is just 1/4 of this particular piece, and I thought, if that will this, and the jury's still out on this question, will this in the lower part of the cross panel, can I get this to drawn and then come out with two chords? I'm going to call these chords. Two chords that will then turn in the lower right and left hand section of the panel and go up. So I've taken I marked all this out. Now you can get down here close, and I've called number 1 chord and number 2 chord, and they come out of this thing in a place that I think I can work with. I'm not positive, but I think I can. Pardon me. So we're going to blow this up and see if it'll work. So what I did is I took a picture of this with my iPhone and then transport that into the computer and then blow it up and print it out. And what I did, I got it printed out into this piece of paper right here. Okay, now don't pay any attention to this. I'll tell you about this in a second. Okay, so there it is. You can even see the words, Borestone of Gask, Perthshire, whatever that means. Someplace in Ireland, I guess. And now I've got it blown up to where I can look at it, and I like the way this looks, and I think it's going to fit the theme of this particular panel. So now what I've done is I've mounted it on this metal plate, and this metal plate is part of it. This thing, apologize for this being so dusty. Part of this overhead projector, and this is a Cobra K5000. Okay, and it has a swinging arm on it. You can attach it to your table right here, and let me get these papers out of the way. You can attach it to your stuff. Attach it to your table. It has some screws down under here, and then it pivots up and down. And that's how we set the magnification of it. So I'll show you how this works. So I'm sitting on this plate, and that fits inside this piece. And then this slides back and forth. And here's your lens right up under here. And that shines down. Okay, now I've got a masonite board under this thing because I'm going to be drawing on it. So I don't want any dips or cavities underneath the drawing. And here's the drawing, and I've got it set up this way so I can see what I'm doing. I put a line across here and another line up the center to help square me up. And we'll fire this thing up. So we're going to turn the big light off. Okay, and it's getting dark here, and we're going to turn this one on. Okay, now we're out of focus. So what we're going to do is, now what I'm doing is I'm sliding this deal here. Slide this in to get some size. Okay, there we go. We're getting into the A size, where it's not super clear yet. So now you can see this, you can move this thing up and down. And what that does, that also changes the magnification and the focus. You kind of work with combination. So boy, that's getting real close to the size we're looking for. I'm trying to focus it real tight. Okay, now I've got it focused. Now what I want to look at, here's the center of the bottom of the cross. You can see that, right? And there's my line up the center. And so we would want that line there to run straight up through this heart shape here. And this triangle, I want that triangle to set on top of my border glass here. So I need to cock this thing. See, I'm a little bit too far down here, so let's cock it sideways just a little bit. Now we can alter. Ooh, we're getting real close here. Now what I'm doing is I'm moving the paper around. Okay. I think I'm a little bit larger than what I want to be because my triangle is running, just touching the bottom of the cross, and I'm also touching the bottom of where the border glass is. So all I'd have to do then would be to take this big panel here and push it down, and that'll make this thing smaller. Okay, and then we'll refocus it smaller. See there? How it's focusing back in. Okay, now that changed the size of this and made it smaller. Okay, no, boy, we're starting to get down to the nitty. That did help. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm lining up again the border glass here and there. I want to line those up. Okay, across my chair. Okay, now I want to make sure I'm in the center, and I'm off center just a little bit. So let's go. Man, I'm way off center. Okay, there we go. Oh, now we're getting there now. And let's put a little mark right here, because that's the center of the bottom of the cross, and I want that mark to hit or be in line with the top of that triangle. Okay, and then I want the bottom, see the bottom of the triangle where it swoops back up? I want that bottom to touch the border there, and I want the bottom to touch the border there. So and then we're running down the center. We're off that center of that heart just a little bit. So let me move this over. Okay, we're real close. Now, what I would do, see, this is somebody drew that in that book, so that might not be 100%. I'm trying to hit this side and this side, where the smart move is to just draw half of this and then impose the other half on this side. But since we have the whole thing here, we'll draw the whole thing. Now, is this going to work? I don't know. We're going to find out. So let's just draw this up. And let me put a little a pencil mark here. Okay, there. Now we'll straighten this up later. Ooh, oh yeah. Boy, I'll tell you one thing. I don't know about this. I'm going to have to definitely straighten this up because, see, there's no room in between here to get a piece of glass. So I have to think about that. So these are going to have to be more narrow than what they are here. Okay, well, that's all right. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll draw this up as it is. And then I'll see. I'm trying to think now, the way this looks, I wonder if this deal here, I can't do that. I was thinking about, because there's no room here for this other piece of glass, I'll just cross that bridge when I get to it. So I want you to be involved in the thought process that actually goes into this. Okay, we're going to draw this up. And these are too wide anyway, so I'll be able to narrow those up. There you go. I'll be able to narrow those up. I'll show you how I'm going to morph this whole thing into something I can work with. What we're looking here right now is just getting a shape to start with. Okay, we've got that all drawn. And this is, see, here's where we're leaving this artwork here going out that way, which is what I really wanted. Okay, there's that one. And then here's this one. And we'll put these right here. Now we're not going to have that. It's easy for me to sit here and see what is and what isn't. Oh, you know, I was worried about this line here. That line's not even going to be there anyway. Okay. Now we're drawing the swooping part of the triangle right there. Okay, we have that drawn. Let's draw this. Now I've got a good feeling about how we're going to, I hope, how we're going to morph this thing into something that I can turn into stained glass. Obviously, this particular drawing in that book is not what somebody is going to try to turn into glass, but we're going to try to turn it into glass. See, I'm putting these lines across here. There's number one. Here's number one. Okay, now if you get lost here and you can't figure out whether you got it all in there or not, just turn this off and turn this big light on and see if I got it up. I don't have this side here on there, so okay. Yeah, see that I didn't get this drawn. Somebody's look at this thing, man, there's no way you're going to be able to get that to work. Well, maybe not. But this is what I do. I just keep messing around. Okay, now what I'm going to do is turn that big light on again. Maybe I don't need to turn this one on. Yeah, turn the big light on. Okay, we have that. Oh, this is not looking as bad as I thought it was to start with. Okay, we're going out this direction on these two. We're going out that direction on those two. And we more or less have this thing here. Perfect. All right. So let's do this. We'll come right here, and I'll give you a little brief rundown here on how I plan to do this. Now, I'm looking at it. Let's turn this lights off here. I'm looking at it here. That's working for me. I like the way that sits in the bottom of this piece. And the way these are running out of here, that's not bad either. We'll bring both of those up right like that, and away we go. But I've definitely got a lot of work here to do. So what I generally do is just start connecting things. And then I'll look at here's a blow up of the whole thing right here. Larger than what I wanted. Okay. And you really got to clean this up because you're going to turn it into glass. So we need to change the width. So I like the height that I have there. So I'm in a good place there. So we want to retain this outer lineup. So let's go there. We've got to find a place that we like. So let's retain that. Let's just draw straight through it. All right, and let's get this, here we go. See how it winged it out there? I have to have on anytime you draw something or try to make something where you need a reference. So let's go right. And a nice straight line is a good reference. I'm going to show you. I'm headed somewhere with this. It's going to make sense in just a minute. You know, it might be another good idea. I'll show you another little trick on how you get this stuff straight. Okay, let's call this right side. This is our reference line here. That's the one we want to work with. Okay, see where it hits the... This is old Jerry showing you how to do this stuff with no computer. And I've been doing this same thing for just about 50 years. Okay, that's the line we're going to work from, right there. Everything is going to flow from that line. So, that dot right there is 117, that's wrong, 112, come on, genius, 107 millimeters, see at the 100, 105, 107 millimeters from the edge. So come over here and go 107. There's 105, 107. Ooh, that is out. Okay. All right, we're going to make it work. And there's our starting spot right there. And like I said, so, oh, that's so far out. It's out, all right, but this was drawn by hand here. Somebody drew that by hand, and then they took a picture of it and printed it up and put it in this book. They drew it up much larger than that. All right, so you get it down to this size, and and then when I blow it up and move it over here, things can move around. This distance, these distances here might not be quite perfect. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to decide and this might be the smart time. I remember I said you're better off drawing one side or the other. Well, I still like what we have going here. So now I need to decide how much glass do I want to work with here. Well, these are 10 millimeters. So let's go 10 millimeters. These are pieces of glass that are going to be 10 millimeters. Now, anybody that's been doing this glass work for any length of time knows already, whoa, that's getting down there. Well, we're going to have an intricate, make sure that's 10, an intricate piece of work. Okay, now we're going to have another one going that way. This is going to work. Oh, there's a lot of, here, go 20 and I can look with it. Sometimes it's easier to put, rather than work off the end of this thing, just go to the large number like 20 and then go back to your 10. Okay, and come right down here, 20. I hope you're getting something out of this. I'm getting something out of it because I'm going to get a drawing out of it. Okay, now there is our triangle. And of course, see, when we do this work, we'll soften up these lines a little bit. All right, now, because we've decided to go 10 millimeters here, we have to wing off this thing and go that direction. So we would go to the bottom rather than here. We'd go to the bottom and then we'd take the 10 millimeters up from there. So this line, I'm going to decide which side I want to work with. I think this is the one I want to work with right here. Okay. I won't waste too much of your time here. This can go on for a long period of time. So let's go here. I just wanted to show you. Now, if I get this, let me get a different eraser. If I get I use a lot of erasers. Now, I guess somebody with a computer that's smart, a lot smarter than I am, they're in here with, jacking the computer around and all that. Hey, that's wonderful. But I don't know, there's something cool about drawing these things by hand and, Okay, I like the way that curves and turns up. So let's get rid of this line right here. And we're just going to draw these lines straight on through. And then we'll come back and change where one's going over one, one's going under. Like right now, we're drawing this thing. This one here. Okay, we'll come back and get it to go under this one or that one. Right now, we just want this nice straight line. Or not necessarily a straight line, but a line that does not have any thing to worry about, because I don't have those lines in there anyway. So let's look at this 10. I'll show you how you get these reasonably. See, because our glass is going to be 10 millimeters. For those that are trying to learn how to draw, this might be a pretty good little video. If a person's not into this at all, they've already departed. Heck, they never probably got on the train to start with. This isn't for everybody. Okay, let's go. See how it's easier to work? Just put that on a 20 and then come to the 10, rather than sit here and try to hit the end of that ruler. And we do all the cleanup and all the rounding and all that stuff after we get the basic drawing done. I'm looking to make sure you can see what I'm doing. Okay, now see this. Follow the dots. And I see on all this Celtic stuff that I do, I've got all this cord work, knot work, all that kind of stuff. This is exactly how I do it. Now, there's been many times that I've drawn these things up, and I looked at it and I thought, I don't like the way that looks. This is, you know what we want to do here? And I don't, I'm thinking, we've got that. I'm trying to decide if I want to round this off here. What problem would that give me? I'm trying to think if it's worth that effort right there to change the shape of this piece. In other words, you take this piece of glass right here and cut it out this way, and then come back in here and cut it that way. I don't think that's worth the effort right there. Let's not mess with that. So let's go back here and just bring this straight across. By the time we put the foil and everything else on that, nobody would ever see that anyway. So we'll bring this line right to it. Right there. Okay. So there's that line going up. Now we would come over here and do the same thing. And see, if you look, that comes out to be the inside line as we go up the cross. And when we come over here and do the same thing, we would come to the bottom. Let's just do that. Take it all the way to the bottom. Let's get that off there. I'm glad you've seen this, because this is exactly how I do it, just a little at a time. Okay, now, I think the smart move here would be to trace this one. Let me show you that. Oh, you're going to get the whole enchilada here. I'm looking over here. Let me get down here. I'll show you. Might as well see the whole program, all right? Here, now, I'm plugging in the light box, and let me get a piece of tracing paper. Okay, now what I'm going to do here, you say, well, why don't you've drawn this one in, why don't you go ahead and draw this one in? Because we're going to start over here, and I drew this by hand. In other words, I brought that out at a certain angle. Now, I don't think I can turn right around and come back out and hit the exact same complementary angle as I have on this one. So rather than even try, what we're going to do is we're going to, let's see, that's the lower section. And okay, so let's get this off here. Actually, I don't even need to fool with that. Let's do this. I'll do this on the light, but I can see it here, but I'm not sure you can. So let me show you the advantage of the light box. And let's cut up. We don't need all this here, so sometimes I work with a smaller piece. There you go. And all this is a real high quality tracing paper. And this ends up being my pattern paper when I actually do the glass work. Okay, let's get that little thing off there. I'll make you guys drawers of your own stuff. Okay, what I'm doing right here is getting us a reference point. Okay, and all I'm going to do is trace this 10 millimeter line that we like, and we want to replicate it. And let's make sure we hit right there. Okay, I want to make sure that you know what we better do? This is another reference we need right here. Okay, that'll get us right to the perfect spot when we flip this thing over. Okay, now, turn this way if I don't get confused here. Flip it over. There we go. Okay, let's erase this. Get this out of the way. And there's a little bit too much light here, so let's turn this thing down just a little bit. There you go. Okay, and all we're going to do is just set this down and try to put the other one on top of it. And see what I'm doing here? I'm lining up the top of that triangle. There it is. Okay, so here, look how far off this thing is. It's going to look good here in just a second. Okay, this is the line that's the exact complement of this one over here. So, and see, I'm lined up with the bottom of the border glass. And like I said, we're going to get the overs and unders and all that stuff at another time once we get this drawn. Oops. I like these mechanical pencils. All right, let's see what that looks like. Oh, yeah. Let's go over here. All right, so get some of this stuff out of the way. Okay, what do we have? I'm getting mesmerized here. Okay, so here, now we'll like I say, we're going to figure this out. But I hope you can see, let's get this stuff out. There's a lot of extraneous stuff might be confusing us. So we have, now so far, we have the triangle in. And now we have brought both sides of the triangle back up and out. And I want to look at 10. This is stuff you just have to clean up. See that somehow I'd made it to 9 millimeters instead of 10. This is stuff, when I get this all drawn, I've been doing this so long, I'll come back and I'll see anything that doesn't look right, and I'll fix it. Like right there, that's not 10 millimeters. It's 9. See, so we would come back over here and straighten this up. But what you're really looking for here is just the basic. You're looking for the basic design. Now, let's, I'm trying to decide, I don't think we need this in here anymore, so let's get this out. Because this is that's the one that we're going to work from. Okay, and I'll show you this thing. This thing, see, it just gets up out of the way. Now your head's not hitting it. You can unplug it. There it is. And I wrap the cord around it up there and just keep it out of the way. Now my head doesn't hit it. In fact, it'll go up even more. There's as high as it'll go. But now it'll expand stuff way out or bring it way down. And there is a plate on here. I'll show you this. I think, let me turn some more light on. Those are expensive too, this Cobra K5000. Okay, in this position here on the Cobra, there's your platform that you put your work on. And of course you can twist that work around and make your work, face you, going left, going right, or going up. All right, and when you put it in this position right here, that's going to magnify it. If you put it in this position, that'll reduce it. So it's got some function, because if I didn't have the ability to bring this one down to a size that the projector would work on, then I could put this one in there and it would actually reduce this one. So it's got some serious capabilities. Way up here, I don't know whether you can see this or not, there, right there, is another projector. And what that projector will do is you'll put something in it and it will shoot it up on a vertical surface. So if I have something really big, like if I could take this, this is too big, but I could take this drawing right here, put it in the top of that projector, and shoot that up on a wall. I have a big, heavy piece of cardboard. I can shoot this up on a heavy piece of cardboard, and I can make that thing 3 or 4 feet across if that's something you needed to do. So in other words, if you wanted to take this drawing here and you wanted to put it into a window, I don't know, 36 inches across, you needed this much larger, then you could just put it in. This one won't necessarily do that because you don't have enough room to shoot it into. But that one, you put your work paper on a board, if you will, or I use cardboard, and then that one will shoot this design up and make it huge if that's what you want to do. So I have the two projectors. I haven't used that thing in a long time, but when you need it, you need it. That projector up there and this projector here will bail you out of a lot of stuff. Now, having said that, I can draw this, and I'm actually not that big a deal. Or want to see an artist is my friend D. Carter Ray. She can draw anything. I can draw this, and I can draw it exactly like that, but it's going to take me about 2, 3, 4 hours to draw that. This thing right here, to get it in the right. So it's much faster for me to just shoot it in the projector and get the basics. Now, I still got to draw it now. Now, I have this part of the drawing here in here, and that's my basis to get this thing started. Seeing this got to get out of the way. So I still have the loop, this number 1. I've still got number 1 comes around and out. So we've actually drawn here, if I'm looking at this thing right, number 2. This is number 2, right there. This is all number 2. Number 2 going out that way and coming back around and going out that way. So number 1 is this kind of heart-shaped pretzel-looking thing in the center, and that number 1 will come out underneath both these number 2s. So I still have to draw this. So that'll be a slow process because I've got to turn right around now and come in here and find myself a space here. And let me give you a for instance. We know that the top of this thing looks like that. So I've got to draw this, and it needs to be 10 millimeter. So there's 10 millimeters there. So I'll just take it straight up this way. And then I'm off. See how that's off right there? So I got to have the same distance right here. That's got to be the same. So that's where we'd start right there. And I wouldn't even attempt to draw this side. I'd probably either draw the right side or the left side. So I draw this left side and got to come, I'm not going to do it right now, but anyway, we got to come down here, and it shows it coming under here and turning and going back out to this outside here. So that's what's going to have to happen. So we have to come down here, turn, and we got to get into a good position here. So all of this is going to be much harder to draw because I've got to cut pieces of glass for this. So this is really getting down to nitty-gritty here. But I've got a good-looking piece here. After I get this drawn and get it all fixed up, I'll come back and we'll waltz through this again, and I'll show you how I did it. Okay, anyway, that's where we're at. If you have questions about this, be sure and ask me. I don't know what, I can't remember what I paid for this. I think I got it on sale for about $400, but I've seen them for $600. So it's Christmas time coming up. There's several places that sell this thing. It's a great tool if you're really going to get serious with this work. And, it's one thing to learn to do the stained glass. It's another thing to make your own patterns, because if you don't, and I learned this really from the very beginning. In the very beginning in 1976, they had books with pictures of patterns in them, but that's how I ended up with a projector, because I could blow them up and make them that way. then I started doing a lot of my own stuff. But if you're at the mercy of just buying somebody's patterns or getting a pattern made for you, then you get tied up in having to get somebody to do it and pay them or whatever. I don't know. I think it's of your benefit, if you're really serious about this, to figure out a way to start morphing these things yourself. And this is, I'm giving you some good tips here. This is how I do it. And if you have more questions about this, let me know. Boy, I tell you what, this thing's, I think this little deal here has got some serious potential to look really nice. And I'm really excited about the way this thing turns. See, that turning radius that we have here is going to work out just right to scoot right around this thing and up this side. All right. Well, anyway, come back and ask me any questions if you have them. Thank you very much.